It's time to harvest some of my kale. So I'm heading over to where it is. I have poles here and there doing various jobs. One of the jobs is keeping me balanced when I'm walking in my garden. I don't tend to have good balance. But here's my kale plant. And there I am, plucking the kale. I'm not harvesting the whole plant, so it will grow some more leaves and I'll have more harvests out of it. And I'm not sure what kind of kale it is. It's not the dinosaur kale, I don't think. I had some Russian red kale planted there, but that's not it either. It's more of a sturdy kale. There is a dinosaur kale over here though, a small one. And I'm going to pick a little bit off of it. That one was a little harder to pluck off. But I've got a handful. And then I'm also going to pick some big leaves. It's not kale, might be cabbage or collards perhaps. I'm picking some more off of this first plant, looks like. I'd forgotten that I did that. I didn't want to talk to you while I was picking that because I'm far enough away from my camera that you would have had a hard time hearing me. Oh, and I'm showing you my beans, my red runner beans that are climbing up the pole. Hopefully I have time to actually have some beans before fall comes. And I'm just kind of looking at everything over there. This time of year I can bring some seeds out here. Oh, there is some Russian red kale. Red Russian kale? I'd forgotten about that. And some pots right here. I have a couple of different pots that have some of it in it. So I'm picking some of that to add to my handful. And there's what I picked. And I'm going to have to go up on the porch and get the clippers. I'm going to take this inside and then go up on the porch and get the clippers to cut off the collard. Or what? I think it must be collard because it's just leaves and it's not acting like it's forming any kind of a cabbage. So can just enjoy looking at my garden here. What a miracle a garden is. I know I've said that before, but I love the garden. And mine's a little bit of a wild mess, but the idea is to keep growing things. Every year I try new things, repeat old things, whether they worked or whether they didn't. One of the things I need to do now in the next day or so is get out here and plant seeds for fall crops.
you doing, honey?
Making stuff.
Oh.
Okay, and here you can see the big leafed one that I picked. So I didn't label what I planted, so I don't know, but I'm thinking it's collard. They're big anyway. Looks like that one leaf got a little bit bug bitten. So what am I going to do with all this, and why was it important? Okay. It's been a while since I've shown you when I weighed I've been keeping track of weighing my harvests in my little notebook, but for my Shed Wars, I really only have to tell you about it at the end, which is in October. But I have to keep track of it the whole time. So I thought I'd just kind of give you an update. I have kale, and I think this is a type of, it's not a cabbage that heads up, but I'm not sure what it is actually. It might be a collard. And I also got some lemon balm in here, which I need to separate out. So, let me, I'm going to weigh the purple, the darker colored one here. 4.1 ounces. And the bigger one is 6 ounces. And then the lemon balm, interestingly enough, even though there's a little handful of it there, doesn't weigh enough to register. So it has to weigh at least an ounce to register. That's okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do here with the lemon balm, I've got a twist tie and I'm going to put it around it here. And then I will hang this up somewhere in my house to let it dry. Okay. So the issue here is, what do I do with these? Why should you grow this in your garden, or that, or the big leaf one? Because they're very nutritious. So I'm going to be chopping this up into smaller pieces. And you may ask, why didn't I take the leaves off of the stem? Because the stems are nutritious too. I like to chew them. And then once I get the kind of the taste out of them, I kind of spit it back out because it's kind of fibrous. But let me put this in a bowl. Okay, my next step here is to put these in my food processor and make them a little smaller. That's kind of working, but I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try just putting it down in without this top blade and see if that makes a difference. It should, theoretically. I'll take that off. And, oops. Take that back out. the rest of these big ones in here. Oh yeah, that's pushing a lot better. All right. So I'm going to take this back out of this bowl and empty what I just did into Okay, so it's cut up a little bit fine to make coleslaw, so I think I'm going to make sauerkraut out of it. Yeah. So I've got in, let's see if I can find it here. Must be in my other drawer, a thing to tamp down Be right back. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to get a large spoon and start putting this in a jar. I think this will be just about the right amount for one jar. The whole purpose of growing something like cabbage or a kale that's a thick-leafed kale is for the nutrition, and when you make sauerkraut, it becomes a probiotic. And that's why we should all grow these brassica type things in our garden. I don't usually have good luck with my cabbage heading up, but the cabbage leaves work just as well as loose leaf as they do bunched up. Okay, for this to start releasing some liquid, I need to put some salt in there. And that's going to be about a half a, what is this, a quart? About a half a quart, what, a pint, maybe. Half of this. So I'm going to put in, let's see, where did I put my salt? Over here. I'm going to use sea salt. And I'm going to use about a spoonful of it. Maybe a spoon and a half. There's several ways to make sauerkraut. You can just let it ferment with the salt, and whether I do that or not with this depends on if I get enough liquid to cover it or not. If I don't, I'll add some vinegar to it, maybe some spices, and go that route, because that makes good tasting kraut also. So I'll work on this and then I'll come back and let you know how I finished it up. Okay, I'm still working on tamping it down. I added just a little bit more salt so that it would get a little more liquidy. I also added some turmeric, some onion powder, garlic powder. Let's see, I think those were the 3 things I added. So that should help it have a really good taste. And I'm going to take my tamper. Well, I've been stirring everything in with a spoon, and now I'm going to take my tamper and tamp down on it more and keep working on it until it gets liquidy. If this doesn't get liquidy enough, I could add some vinegar to it to kind of help the process. Okay, well, I found that with this kind of green, it doesn't do very good at making a lot of brine. And I did a little bit of research. Remember, I said I might add some vinegar, but I didn't. That would make it pickled instead of fermented, and I wanted it fermented. So what I did was I added a little bit of filtered water. Just enough to make it, see if you can see down here. And then what I'm going to do is, I have a rock here that I'm going to put in some plastic to kind of hold things down. I might add just a teeny bit more water in there so to make sure that the brine completely covers. And then I'm going to use my pickle popper lid, whatever those are called, and let it set out on the counter for a couple weeks or however long it takes. So let me add a little bit more water. I want to make sure that the brine completely covers the see, I need to get all of the air bubbles out of there. That will help a little bit with the saltiness too. I thought when I tasted it was a tad salty, so that should actually help, because I wanted them fermented, not pickled. So that's a true brine that's on there. Okay. Okay, so that's all ready. I labeled it so that I would know when I started it. And in a few weeks we should have some kale kraut, sauerkraut, whatever it's called, fermented vegetable. Yum, and so good for me.
What you doing, honey bunny bunny?
Not much. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm watching an action movie.
Okay. I think I recorded some that I didn't mean to record, but that was okay. So to make this SHEDWARS compliant, I need to tell you how to plant these veggies that I just harvested. And I kind of already told you why, but I'll emphasize it a little bit more. This is the time of year, actually, that I could plant seeds directly in my garden. And then they will come up and be a nice fall crop of kale.
I had to come in.
So you can direct sow the kale and the cabbage seeds and collards. You can either direct sow or you could start them indoors. But this time of year, in August, you can direct sow them. And then they will be, hopefully in just a month or so, they will be up and strong enough so that if we get a frost in September, they will do fine. And I can put a hoop cover on top. If you go back and look at some of my previous non-Shedwar videos from last fall, you'll see how I do that. I have hula hoops that I took apart, and then I start out with putting floating row cover on it, and then as it gets colder, I'll put plastic over the top of it so that the things that are underneath it will overwinter, and it does fairly good. So those hoops will go on there sometime in September, whenever it starts getting threatening frost. Probably the middle of September, I'm guessing. So the purpose of growing them, my gut health. Cabbage is supposed to help. Brassicas, they're good for helping to lower your blood pressure. And of course, when you ferment them, like I just did, that adds more nutrition, turns it into a probiotic. Either way, it's good. You can make coleslaw out of it. You could, those big leafed ones, you could make cabbage rolls out of them. Anything that you can just use regular cabbage to make, you can use the kale or the big leafed ones. Also, another thing that I've done before is chop them up into, not as small as I just did, but into chip size, and put them in my dehydrator with a little bit of olive oil and some tad bit of salt, and turn them into kale chips, and that's really good too. So if you look on Google, yes, Google, or any other browser where you can do a search, you can find all kinds of recipes that how you can use the brassica type vegetables, the cabbages, the kales, the broccolis, the Brussels sprouts, everything in that family. And they're all equally good for you. I didn't look to find the exact nutrition value of them, but I know they're good for you. That much I know. They're good for you. So get out in your garden. Start planting those fall crops. Your cabbage, your kale. There's a ton of different kinds of kale. Well, the cabbages too. And broccolis and whatever. All of those kind of cold winter, cold crop vegetables. Right now is the time to start planting them for your fall/winter crops. And then use recipes that you have or recipes that you look up and make something nutritious and healthy with them. And as I do other things in my garden, I'll bring you along and show you different things that I do. Some of them will be my Shedwar videos, and some of them will just be regular videos. Either way, I hope you're busy looking at them. My channel doesn't seem to grow much. It just stays at, I have, 449 subscribers, I think. I know a lot of people earn a little bit of a living doing YouTube. Gosh, I still have at least 500 more subscribers to get before I get any monetization abilities. Plus, you have to have the watch hours. I don't think I'll ever get there, but you never know. I'll keep plugging away at it. I enjoy doing it, even if it does not bring any income in. I'm on a fixed income because hubby and I are both retired. We do okay. But it would be nice to have a little bit extra so that I could afford to do some of the things that I want to do with my garden. But nevertheless, all is well. My garden is amazing, even when it does good, even when it does bad, and everything in between. So I hope you're having a good day. I know I am. And I will see you on the next video. Until then, may the good Lord richly bless you.